64 years old. I had my stroke 5 years ago. Up until that time, I was a very healthy person. I was 53 kgs when I had my stroke. I walked 5 Ks every day. Plus tried to do Zumba. That's where I found that I'm not very coordinated. So it was a bit of a shock to everyone in the family. It wasn't something I thought would happen to me.
Yeah, well, I started working with Wendy, what was it, 2019, 2018?
Something like that, yeah.
Good few years ago now, and she was actually a client of a colleague of mine. So when I took Wendy on, I had predominantly, prior to moving to Toowoomba, same company in Brisbane, but treating a lot of DVA clients, a lot of the older population where their exercise tolerance is really low. So when I moved into this space and started getting a lot of neurological clients, I kind of was just in that same habit of the treatment that I was doing prior, and basically kept doing the same program, didn't we, for quite a period of time, which was a combination of hydrotherapy, which Wendy struggled with, if I may speak about you, because the buoyancy really affected her mobility in the pool. Her left leg tends to float a lot more and she has a lot of difficulty keeping it down. So even with weights, you were still
having trouble.
Very lopsided, but she still wasn't really progressing. We were doing, outcome measures weren't really changing. We had no significant improvement, or there was no, she wasn't going opposite end. She wasn't going downhill, but there was just this plateau. And it was a couple of years, and it just led me to think that obviously I wasn't, I guess, doing the best in terms of clinical practice. It obviously wasn't evidence-based. I don't think I had even looked at the stroke guidelines since uni. And it's just something that I thought something has to change here because Wendy's not improving. And interestingly enough, when you jump on to the stroke guidelines, they're actually really easy to follow. They're easy to find the information. It has all the reasoning behind it if you don't have access to the articles. I thought that it was really a really amazing tool that I now tell everybody to use. So we went from just doing basic, 1, 2, 3 sets of 10 different bits and pieces, sit to stand, seated knee extensions. We did some of those. We were kind of doing some step ups, but that was mostly in the pool. But we were just finding that it was not task specific enough for walking. And when you really start to look into the evidence, we were definitely not doing what was relevant for Wendy. So Wendy is incredibly motivated. So she's the type of person you are. Well, you're motivated to improve, and you've got this drive that you've got this big goal of going to Tasmania. And I actually Googled Cradle Mountain, and I'd never seen this thing. I thought it was going to be like tabletop, right? I'm like, that'll be easy, Wendy.
That's another thing, climb tabletop.
Yeah, I won't even climb that. But I did Google Cradle Mountain. It's actually this massive place in Tasmania. I thought, we've got a lot of work to do, was my sort of first thought. And it was interesting because Wendy, when I said to her, hey, look, I think we should change your program. Are you keen to give it a go? And I said, this is basically what it would mean. It would mean that we have to do, we work together, we come up with some exercises that she can do safely and independently as needed, but are also specific enough to what she needs to achieve with her walking, to make it more, I guess, relevant to your goals. And I said to her, we'll do it together, because obviously it was a new venture for me as well. And I said, we'll probably, we won't get it right every time, but she was more than willing to give it a try. So and we didn't change everything at once. Obviously she still does the hydro because it's a good social, it gets her out into the community. She's got a lot of friends there. But I also said, if that's the case, you've got to put an equal amount of effort at home and do the...
And I try.
You do. That's all. Hey, look, you're doing better than what you were doing prior, which is exciting. And we have noticed significant improvements. 10-meter walk test was not something I had really considered. We were doing a timed up and go, which will be relevant when we start working a little bit more on your turning. but the walking speed was the biggest thing. And it was really fascinating after the last 3 months that Wendy's made such a significant improvement in her walking speed. When we initially retested the 10-meter walk test, I think it was in the last 6 months or so from memory, her walking speed was around that 0.8 to 0.9 meters per second, which was quite slow. However, our most recent testing that we did approximately 2 weeks ago, so this has been with Wendy doing the program now for about 2 to 3 months, more consistently, her walking speed has improved to about almost 1.3 meters per second, which is a significant clinical change, but also it's just been mind-blowing, hasn't it, how much it has changed her walking speed in that time. And we're consistently seeing improvement. So that's not her top walking speed, but it's also not her just casual speed. So it's still obviously has room to improvement because it's not at the age-matched controls yet, but it is still improving each time we do it, which is what we like to see.
This campaign is supported by World Physiotherapy and physiotherapy organisations in Australia, Italy, France and the Netherlands. Please join us in the PEDro Tackles Barriers to Evidence-Based Physiotherapy campaign and help tackle the biggest barriers to evidence-based physiotherapy. You can follow the campaign on the PEDro webpage, blog or social media.